the radio, building dreams and achieving more, telling it just like it is. Most of all, keeping it real. Are you ready for real talk? Changing lives and communities. Real talk. Saving all our families. Real talk. Bringing hope for you and me. Real talk. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.
Welcome to the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. I want to thank you so very much for being on this morning, this afternoon, this time right here to give me 1 hour to empower you, inspire you, motivate, and make an indelible impact on you. I know that you all are looking and you see my guest. I'm not going to introduce her right now. Y'all just going to look at her, okay? And then I introduce her. I know she's going to have a whole bunch of folks on here. But I want to thank you all for being here today, being back with me, coming back again, allowing me to speak to you. Thank you so very much. And I want you to remember this, that there's nothing that you can't do. All things are possible because according to Philippians 4:13, I can do all things. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And that is absolutely the truth. So my sisters and brothers, thank you for being here. I am Dr. Judy Mandrell, the host of this amazing and impactful show, radio show. And to all of you, thank you again for joining me. Y'all know how I got to do it. For those of you who have been on with me before via radio, Facebook Live, or YouTube, or on the radio, y'all know one of the first things I do after the introduction of saying hello is I must say hello to my mama. And so I want to say, Mama, hello. Hello to you, Mama. So glad to have you with us. And y'all, she always called me before the show to tell me, I don't care, it could be 11:27. I'm going to have to stop and answer that phone. And she'll call Sister Ashley. She wants me to have a good show. She's praying for the show. And she hope my guest is good. Thank you, Mr. Tillman. She hope my guest is good. So, and she's told me people who not to have back on my show.
I know. Look, we have to trust the moms and discernment now, because they know.
Look at me. They asked her. She have told me, "Oh, don't bring that one back." I like, oh.
But you know what? That's so interesting because in our culture, you know, even as women, our moms have been like. They're like that from the beginning, right? So even though as we age and we grow, they're still going to be the mama bear.
Oh, I like that. The mama bear. You're right. They're going to always watch over their cubs.
Right.
And no matter how old we get, y'all see, that's why I have her on here today. I haven't even done my introduction. I haven't done anything. And that Ashley has already jumped in. And I'm telling you what, you all, this is what I suggest. I suggest you get a pen and paper, because the impact and the wisdom, the knowledge, the strategies that she's going to give to us today, is going to really bless you. I promise you. Get your pen, get your paper, and allow her. That's why I have her on here. And you all won't believe this. It has taken me a long time to get her on here because her schedule is busy, and you're going to hear a lot of what she does, but she's absolutely phenomenal. So, Mama, you're going to enjoy Ashley. I promise you, Mama. You are going to enjoy her. You're going to be blessed by her. My mom did a daycare for 45 years in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, wow.
And Jim Moran and his wife, they were like her best friends.
Okay.
And they always gave to her child development center every year.
Wow.
I mean, they made from their foundation big.
Those partnerships matter.
Oh,
yeah.
And Ashley, they have, I mean, even her birthday, she brought people on their yacht.
Okay.
And they said, this is Irma Hunter. And a matter of fact, today, April 1st, has been declared as Irma Hunter Wesley Day in the city of Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, wow. Shout out, Mom.
Yeah.
Happy Mom Day. And thank you, Mother, too, for your contributions to the generations, the 40 years,
45.
45 years. So you have cultivated a lot of people that may be doctors and lawyers and everything else in between to keep, this community and our community thriving. So thank you, because that's a true sacrifice.
Yeah. And she's 86 now.
Mm-hmm.
And doing absolutely phenomenal. She has really poured into us. And I must say, everything that I am really has come from her. All of my sisters, my brother, we have gleaned so much, and all of us are philanthropists in our own right. Every last one of us giving back. My sister in Scotland, when it's on here, one of the most brilliant women in the world, but she too over in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
Just running things.
Wow.
Running things over there. So we're gonna get right in. How about that? And I want to say congratulations to Kaylin John Lewis on becoming
a finer woman. Okay, so shout out to her for becoming a member of the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. So congratulations, and I can't wait, little Sarah, to connect with you again and just to give you some love, and all our other Sarahs too.
Yeah, they had a big line, and I'm so proud of Kaylin and Ashley, because she looked at you all and felt like you all were the sisters of Zeta.
Oh, wow.
Was what she needed.
Yeah.
To just, because this young girl is crazy.
She is. I've been fortunate to see her on campus, like not even knowing she was in that space, and just come across her, and just, and also for her to be from Tallahassee, to see someone, because it's not that many of us that come from Tallahassee that stick with it, and we stay, and you kind of, you're in the weeds of what's happening in the community. So to see her so young, as she's matriculated, become like this young woman.
Yes.
And she's a philanthropist too in her own right. So it's something I think that, has been passed down from generations. Yeah.
Yeah. Carolyn is on here, and she said, "Hello, beautiful ladies." And then you start talking about the final lady, and she put on here ski wee all day.
Carolyn, now Carolyn, sister, I have to behave today. So,
she's one of Carolyn mentors too. So don't. They're good. Yes. But we're gonna get into the show, and I must say this before I leave. Hello, husband. That's my husband. I have to say hello to him too. Because that's 44 years of really happy marriage. And we're going to do a show on that, because marriages can be happy.
Yes.
You may have your bump in the road, but you slow down and go with a bump and keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
So, hello, sweetheart. Absolutely love you. But we're going to get into the show, because I really want Ashley to pour. I really want you to just give to the audience and the people who will come back.
Okay.
She got so much. Tell the people some of the things that you're doing.
Wow. I have to kind of start where you started as well. Like, I'm a product of, a family of entrepreneurs. It's so crazy. Wow. A few weeks ago, we went to DC, to the African American Museum, and I kind of went to this area where you're able to trace back your ancestors. And so I was able to get to 1865, but my husband, they got back to like the 1500s. So a shout out to them as well, my mom, and my mother-in-law as well, and our family.
Are you from Tallahassee?
I am.
I didn't know that.
I am. I'm homegrown.
Wow.
I know.
Okay.
I kind of, it's so strange. So when I graduated from high school, my parents didn't give me any time to, like, you're going to take a leap, anything. You're going to leap right on campus in those dorms. So that was my leap year. My leap year was leaping into Patty Foot. And so I was a foot soldier. So, but it was the best experience, because it made me realize that, I was able to just transition into school where people were coming from all over the world, so it gave me a different perspective, and not just being here, I was able to be, get a worldly perspective. But I do shout out to my mom, Lorraine James, too, because everything that you see is a product of her, as well as the legacy of her and my dad, Thomas James. So thank you to both of them who really, truly have paved this way for me.
I want to ask a question because I want you to tell more about who you are, but that is a plus because a lot of us, especially Black Americans, we didn't have the honor of being raised by entrepreneurs in that sense.
Right.
So my family, I think that had one of the best upbringings ever, and I would say that we were really into the social field.
Okay.
Like social work. My mom, the Child Development Center, she taught us how to own our own and to do. We spent a lot of time in the social work field, the education. My dad was the first Black sheriff deputy.
Oh, wow.
The first Black sheriff deputy in Broward County.
Okay.
And he was the first Black deputy who had his own police car. They made a big deal of that because he had his own police car, his own car.
Wow.
And as a Black man in way back then, but to be raised by entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about, and we're gonna get that you just done. And I want to talk a little bit about how that brought you up, or how that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because even though they're entrepreneurs, even dating back to like just looking at the history of our ancestors, because they had, believe it or not, the census back then too, and you can see what they were, what professions and what fields they were back in 1865. So they were entrepreneurs. However, what's a little bit unique is that I was the only one that actually, well, from my mom and dad, they still worked. So they still retired from working with the state or the county, and then they had their investments and things like that. But so for me, yeah, like I quit, my job. I resigned from my job, which was a different perspective because, you don't have that security blanket of having like something else to help support. And then the things that they were involved in, they have, investments and things like that too. However, they didn't have a staff of 20 or 40 if it's during the summertime. So those were some challenges too, journeys that I had to just really lean into God and my purpose and what that was about too. So that was different. But growing up with entrepreneurs, it's hard, it's tough. And one of the things that my dad said, when I tell him like, Dad, I'm gonna go full force into the business, speaking of like Mama Bear and Papa Bear, his thing was you always make sure you pay your bills on time and you always make sure you pay your employees on time, and everything else you're gonna figure out. So they really are, and when I started the business, there was no we're gonna write you a check to help you open. If this is what you want to do, we need to make sure you're going to invest in it, and you're gonna put your own fruits of your labor in it too, which was something I didn't understand at the time, but it was so amazing because that was a teachable lesson for me too. Yeah.
Wow. So they made sure. I mean, I'm sure you would have followed me.
They would have. Oh, absolutely.
But they made you do your invest, and I think that's what a lot that we have to learn. Actually, that if it's ours, if we want it, we have to put the most investment into it. We have to invest in it like we want it because it's ours.
We have to. And I mean, there were still things that that money could not put a price, opening or ushering your way into entrepreneurship. There's some sacrifices that you have to make with your kids and their schedules and your family and my husband and everybody else. So shout out to my husband, John, too, who has really been like the backbone of everything and my place of peace, truly. And so they were able to help in other ways that money could not even add value. Especially when it comes to helping out with Ethan and Zoe, which is the high schooler and the elementary, the second grader. So they were able to help me with helping make sure that they get to where they needed to be, or that they're in a safe space, just like a place where I can operate to be able to support the masses. I have that cushion, almost like how Michelle Obama moved her mom into the White House. It's nothing like having your mom or your dad in that space with you. So for me, it's like, even though they have what they need, any way that I can be of a service to them and not be, even though it wouldn't be a burden to ask them for help, I don't want to. Because my goal is to give them what they gave
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is when you have parents who have sacrificed or made that door for you or been there. And what I see, living in the house with entrepreneurs, living in the house with people who are made and they're doing it. My mom sat down and she said, Judy, do not get in trouble with this. Do not get in trouble with that. She said, because you have a business and you have a name.
Yes.
She said, and once your name is messed up in any part of the business, that's it. They're not going to trust you with much of anything. She said, don't mess up with the parents. Don't mess up with other people in the city.
Right.
She said, do not mess up with the IRS. She went into all of that because she said, your name is all you have. She said, I know you all talk about brand.
Right.
She said, but your name, that's your brand.
That's your credit.
She said, your name is everything.
I was having lunch with a very close friend of mine last week, and we were talking about just being in the essence of being on Capitol Hill and your name. And like, it's almost like lending your credit card out, lending your wallet out. Like, I have to make sure you're going to make good on what I'm actually, giving to you, or I'm sewing into. So your name, you have to look at it in that same right. And that is so important to me. Not just as an entrepreneur and being someone that's successful, but a lot of work on the inside. Like, who you are on the outside, it needs to be who you are, on the inside, making sure that both of them match together. And so I always strive so hard to make sure that who people see on the outside, that's who I am on the inside. And I've been able to actualize with that.
I have to do that. So share that with the people, because y'all take notes right here, because it's a very important point. And y'all know I bring people on here that will help us. Those are the people that I want, because we have women and men who listen who want to do better. Or how do I increase it? And so I use this time to really bring in people that I know can help us.
Right. So I spend a lot of time in solitude, a lot of time alone. When I'm not in the public or I'm not at work, and that's something that people that work close to me, they have been able to learn. I'm actually, in some ways, a private person, public-private, but I strive to do a lot, especially when I have projects or things coming up. I have to take a moment to fast. And that fast is really going into a place of, it's almost like isolation. So number one, you have to learn what does isolation look like for you, and be comfortable with being alone. Number two, and really that kind of goes hand in hand with faith, and being able to know that God is there, and that you that when you really lean into Him and you understand your purpose, which takes time. When you lean into Him in the purpose, that's when everything else, is a little bit easier. Now, outside of the spiritual realm, of course, I went to therapy for a long time. I had a therapist, and that therapist actually helped me to be able to be comfortable with becoming that public figure. Because, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a public figure, and things that we have to sacrifice, and learning that you really don't have to sacrifice those things, and that you can still be, who your identity is and who you're called to be. And so it took a lot to go through that process for me. So I do a lot of just really watching what I eat, what I'm putting into my body, what I'm listening to, who I'm around. Pastor Judy, I kind of, though I'm able to be in the community, when you kind of look at who I'm aligned with, like you kind of know, okay. So I really do. I'm mindful about. I have a heavy discernment, so I'm very mindful about who's in my private space like that. Yeah.
And I think that we need to make sure that we understand that because it is important who you're around.
Yeah.
It is very important, especially you have to get to know who you are so you can learn not to accept everybody into that private space, into that circle. Because everybody does not mean you any good. And if they're not vision minded, depending on where you are, they're not in that same space, it's draining.
Yeah. You learn that it's not about your socioeconomic status or where you are.
Yes.
It's about, it really comes back to your principles about who are you called to be. And are your friends and those folks that you're around, are they equally yoked in that realm?
I love that because I love all of your circle. Your circles, all of them. Mama, I am Mama Judy, but I absolutely love your circle. They are very. I got up close and personal. I don't know if it was Brittany or Anita or Kim. I don't know which one. I don't know if the egg came first or the chicken.
Right.
But absolutely phenomenal women.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And you can tell that all of y'all are real close because you got that same mindset, that same spirit, the same spirit, the same attitude. You all are pretty much like this. And bring into an atmosphere. You bring that peace. You bring that you're gonna do something. I was watching Brittany when we were at the Big Being Minority Women.
Yes.
And I was watching her, I was looking at all five of y'all, but watching how she navigated everybody.
Yeah.
Who, even the differences that I know that we all had, just watching her. Then I watch you. And I watching me because you all make sure y'all make your way to her to make sure that, it was just phenomenal.
We have a crazy dynamic because we all have our own lanes and all things that we do, but it's nothing more beautiful to be able to support your friends. There are times where I'm out, she got me picking up the trash at some event with Brittany, or Brittany have us volunteering to put the tables and chairs up just because we can. But it's not because she don't have her team, is that she, we know that we're going to show up for her just like she shows up for us. And we kind of do that within our circle too. We show up.
And that's why different ones try to get it, but I have that set.
Yep.
I have these girls. We were talking about those. I call them my girls.
Yes.
And I know when things happen. My sister in Scotland said, I don't associate with people whose spirit doesn't align with mine.
Oh yeah, it really comes from when you become secure in who you are, and it really is about your faith and your walk with Christ. That God will give you that discernment. And I even, it's nothing intentional. I can walk into a room and tell if my spirit is gonna ruffle somebody up, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna be less than anything else that I'm supposed to be when I walk in that room, because I'm on assignment. So it really does come with a little bit of security, in that and resting in that.
How have you navigated moments of doubt or discouragement, and what strategies have you employed to overcome obstacles?
Yeah, so that's a hard one, because even when any podcast show that I have to be on, or even coming here today, like everybody, like if you're behind the scenes, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta do this today. But then I come back to knowing that God would not have placed me in this place if he didn't think that I was ready.
Yes.
And so, you've kind of been a part of my journey for years, like since 2013, I remember you being a part of that journey. And so I can say God will release us when we're ready. So I rest in knowing that I'm prepared. So wherever I'm going, you have to do your homework. You got to study your craft. You got to study, like Pastor Judy can't send you an email to be on her show and you don't read the questions or read the content of the material of what or the thing. You have to be prepared. So a lot of me eliminating doubt is being prepared. And so in knowing that as it relates to being a business owner, that there is absolutely no way that God would have gotten us this far. If like you asked me to leave, God, I was just being obedient to what you asked me to do. So there is absolutely no way you can forsake me. You can't.
And I hope y'all really hearing this, but I am a 100% believer in this, that our relationship with God is paramount and that it must be strong in order to have a real successful business relationship or anything, because as we seek him, he really does give us direction. He really does, and he is a calm of or peace. I know sometimes I'm talking with pastor and my husband, and this and that happened, and he said, Judy, God called me the pastor. He told me to do this. He said, and everything lies upon him. He said, but we just prepare.
Yeah.
And I want us to hear this, y'all. We have to prepare. And you have to study. You have to show yourself approved. Business is not just gonna happen.
Oh no, this isn't. It is not that easy. And really, I think about, because we own Oxford Learning Academy, and really shout out to the entire Oxford family and community, as well as Miss Faye and Miss Marcus and all the teachers that are there, because they really are making history, and they really are making impacts in the community. So in theory, when we see Oxford, we see it as a place, most people will see it as a place of childcare, right? But when you get into like the spiritual pieces of that, you realize that not only are we impacting the people that work there, so that's one sector, but then you're providing a safe space for parents to drop off their kids. But and really the majority of them, 95% of them, are really carrying out their gifts to help support someone else when they go to work in their places of employment. So it's almost like we're providing this safe space so that people can carry out whatever it is that they're called to do, or whatever it is that they're doing in that season. So it's also knowing that sometimes that your position may change, but your purpose doesn't change. No matter what we're doing or any of the other businesses, the position that, is going to change over time. We're going to have 4 and 5 jobs, and if you look at, statistics, other cultures have at least 7. But we have that, but who we are and what our purpose is doesn't.
It doesn't change.
It doesn't.
And you are absolutely correct, because even with Dream Builders, or Carolyn and I talked, Carolyn told me when she was a young girl that she wanted to be a principal in the school.
Oh.
So when the daycare became available, how it became, I told her, here's the beginning of your principalship.
My God.
Here is this is yours. And so I had to open it.
Yes.
But I told her it's not to be mine. I won't wear the name of owner.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
My what I see is to she this is her dream. Make it happen.
Yes.
So with me, everything is about leadership. So I say from the age of 6 weeks,
okay,
until they leave us, they are in training to lead.
Oh, yes. So now you have taken that same, like what you do in the community to help build up women or build up leaders. Now you're able to take that and do it in the context of working with our babies, like the future generation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the way she does it, I mean, she has such a grace. I'm not grace. I am not grace to do it. And when she made me come to work, oh Jesus.
Oh yeah.
But there is and I just grabbed a hold of this real good. The position changed, but the purpose, everything I do, Ashley, it seemed like, okay, it's leadership, it's bringing people together, it's helping. Like today, what we're really talking about, y'all, is sharing me with others. And what that was all about, I wanted Ashley to come in and share her knowledge, her principles, her strategies, her everything that she would give to us for this hour. I wanted her to share it because a lot of time we don't share.
Yeah. And I think that's unique in itself because, I wouldn't even be who I am today without your Janae's, your Alethea's, your Renee's, your Clotilles. All of these women are like, I'm not giving y'all ages because y'all are like pushing 50. Y'all do know that now. You really do. Or your Pat Smith. So all of these women, I didn't have a choice but to be great. Because my village is, right? Yes. And so when your village is pouring down into you and your next generation, you have the responsibility to be all. You can't just give up when it gets hard as an entrepreneur in that first year. I couldn't just give up because I've had other people or even my parents who have sacrificed to move their schedules around to help support Ethan and Zoe. Like, you cannot just give up for you because it's not about you.
Right.
So that's what, keeps me going as well. But you can't fail when you have, a Judy and those individuals pouring into the next generation, and whether it's skincare or just small things that we don't know as women, they are able to help guide you so that you don't make those mistakes that they made. So I'm, in a way, a product of all of them.
Yeah, and when we look at that, I sent Courtney not Courtney. I sent Ashley like 50 questions, but the Spirit is leading us to really pour this into you. Kalinda, thank you.
Kalinda's my cousin.
Is she your cousin?
Yes, we literally were at a wedding, and it really is a family, only wedding, very private and intimate. And we're like, oh my gosh, like we're cousins, and literally we are cousins. We are cousins.
It's a small world.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody. You can't talk, and y'all, you can't talk about nobody because everybody know everybody. And why you talking about my cousin? Y'all know the lady with the crooked eye? That's my auntie. But anyway, it is important what you're saying. You can't give up.
You can't.
It's gonna be hard. Okay, It's just gonna be hard. But you find people who have made it through the hardness.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, answer this for me. Why is it hard sometimes to ask for help?
Really,
for some people, help them get out of that spirit of.
If you want to be successful, you're going to have help. At a certain point, it can't just be you alone. You can't come up with all the ideas. You can't come up with everything because you'll never be great. So you have to be willing, if you're building these enterprises up, because that's what they are. We're speaking that, right? We're building up these enterprises, but are you building them up for you to just be the only person there forever? So are you not trusting or cultivating someone else to help so that that vision and that legacy can carry on? Your mom owned the school down south, and now you are 500 miles away up here owning a school, that same thought of a legacy and how to continue it. So asking for help is actually strength. It's a place of humility, but a good leader knows that you need help. And you just have to know it. But you do have to rest in knowing who you can get help from.
Now, I was just about to ask you to elaborate a little bit more that everybody can't help you.
Everybody cannot help you, and you have to know what. And I feel like like I was sharing with you, that was that 2013 year, and God like really giving me that space, because everything that I've been doing now, I've been doing since way back then. It's just different now because you're in the public eye. So normally by the time the public sees you, you have already been training for years. So over time, you went on your journey. It's just through that maturity in your spirituality, maturity in yourself, mistakes, learning, like getting burned a few times, right? You learn who exactly or what characteristics are the folks that can support you and you can get help with and help from.
Several things going through my mind as you're saying that. One, you have to be careful. I want you to elaborate on this a little bit. Sometimes we try to hold on to people who are play buddies, for lack of how to say it. I'm sure you'll fix it up. Our play buddies, but they're not really. They shouldn't be a part of that stepping ladder.
Okay.
Because they're not, and you can say it. I'm trying to get it out. You know what I'm trying to say? Help me.
Is it more so like everybody, the folks who you kind of ushered, who you were with before on your journey, sometimes they might not make it through the journey with you?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it hurts. You know, I've lost some friends, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, because God is going to provide you what you need.
Yes.
He's going to provide you. If you are obedient to what he's asking you to do, doesn't mean you're not going to go through a hard time or you're not going to come across someone that tries you or all of that, but you'll know how to conduct yourself, and you'll know how to help you, so you'll know how to be able to respond to those. So yeah, I mean, friends, everybody's not going to make it. And especially in the role of entrepreneurship, because really entrepreneurship is a very spiritual place to be in. I remember, like, you're not going to know sometimes where your next client comes from.
Yes.
You have, your back may be against the wall. It's amazing when you have people that are in that space, because only few people know what that journey feels like.
Yes.
When you have to make sure you have to be responsible for paying everybody's bills, and they are vessels to support their families, and their families are their matriarchs themselves. So it does, you know, you have to know that as you mature and you transition, that there are going to be different people that God give you along the way. But you have to be open and being a willing vessel to knowing who those folks are. If not, you'll miss your blessing.
You miss it. You miss it because if you, Carolyn shared with me yesterday, excuse me, on her way back from, I think they were in Dallas.
Okay.
And they were on their way back traveling here. The plane was 370 pounds over.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the plane couldn't take off.
Okay.
Because it was overloaded. It was overloaded. And they started asking for volunteers to get off.
Okay.
But some people just wouldn't move, but they wanted to know what was going to be the incentive of me getting off.
Okay.
But listening to you now, sometimes our life, or we're just overloaded. And we have to know the people who need to get off.
Yeah, because
or the things that need to get off.
You're going to have to know, otherwise you're going to be weighed down. And weighed down when you're in a season of manifesting what you're called to do, it's isolation, right? So that goes back to us being able to know that it's okay to be alone, because you're really not alone.
Right.
You're just preparing yourself. But in that place, I can't have a lot of things and baggage on that plane that's weighing me down, because if not, then I'm distracted. And if I'm distracted, then I'm not going to be able to do what I'm called to do. You know, so I can see that with the plane.
I thought when she said that you're talking, I'm like, that's how it is sometime in life. But you all listen to the points that she's given to us. Sometimes we need to isolate. We need to take some sabbatical time. Dr. Usher Fields sat down with Brewer, sat down with me one day, and she said, Pastor Judy, you're busy. She said, you are busy. And she did a massage. She said, and you're tight, you're stressed.
Yes.
She said, I saw it when you was preaching. And so what she took my calendar.
Okay.
She actually took my calendar, and she blacked out every week. She blacked out 2 hours. And she said, you are not available.
I know that's right.
She said, you're busy. And she said, if you do these things, this is what she told me. If you do these things, you'll live longer.
Yeah.
I did those things for about, I don't know how long. But it came back to me last night when I was up studying. It came back to me. Look at the go back and look at your calendar. I went all the way back to 2018. 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but that time is still blocked out.
It's still blocked out.
It's still blocked out. And so in order to take care of yourself, as Ms. Ashley just stated, find some time to isolate, find some time to fast, schedule it. You got to be intentional about it.
You do. Like, I am so intentional about self-care. Like, it is a requirement. Like, it's not even, I don't even play around with it. And even if I try to veer off, I have Nyla who's like, nah, that's not gonna work. And she's over there now, like, nah, like at this point, you can't do it on that day. And that's
Nyla
okay.
is just kind of, she just did a little smirk. She was like, she's not going. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, Nyla says, listen, you doing all this now in the community, that's great, but we need to scale back on this on these days. And so I'm really grateful, but that comes back to knowing your weaknesses, but being able to have the strength to be like, I need help. So I needed help. And so I just had that conversation with, she and I was just talking on the way here about that. Like, when you need help, you need to have that flag, or Brittany's texting me. Now, if I ain't hear from you in the next 48 hours, literally, she texted me like, now I was giving you 48 more hours. But after that, I was coming to seek and find. And sometimes her, Anita, Kimmy, all of them, they'll randomly pop up at my place of employment, is what I call it. And they just, well, we just making sure I'm fine. I'm just busy. But they be like, if you didn't answer for us, then we know you have not. So you do have to be intentional, because you're not just doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the people who care about you. And we want to make sure that we preserve, like, that we have a balance of, it's great to be successful, but you're going to be so successful that you can't even enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Wow.
So that's not the lifestyle that I want.
Right.
I want to be able, when my husband says, okay, babe, pack your bag, the bag was packed already.
It was already
packed.
It was just waiting on saying, let's go.
And that's what he'll do. So, and our kids too, them being able to see the freedom in that.
Yes.
That's the most beautiful thing that out of this entire journey is that they can see what this looks like. And they may never own their own school, or they may never want to write grants, even though Zoe says she's a grant writer and a principal. But they're going to own something because of how they've seen how we've carried out our lives. And that is the most, out of everything that I do, them being able to be a part of that is important to me.
I love that. Yeah. We did not, and Kalinda had made a comment when you stated, when you were talking earlier, and she said, we have to get out of our own way.
Yeah.
We have to get out of our own way. So it is okay to ask for help.
Absolutely.
I know one of the things, and I guess I don't mind asking for help.
Right. You call me out. What we need.
I will call, because I call trusted people.
Yes.
I call people that I know who have principles, valuable principles. I call people who I know want the exact same thing I want for the community, the people I serve, the people I lead. And those are the people I call.
Yes.
Because I know, and I'm 66. They're she's much younger than me. But the wisdom that God has given, and there's some things that I have not accomplished. So I meet with LaShawn. I sit down. I sit down and talk with people.
Yes.
Especially if I think you're smart. If I think you're smart and you're going somewhere, I want to know. And I take this with me. I got my pad and pen and on my phone. Would you give us some navigating strategies to the women and the men who are at a point of frustration, or at that point of it doesn't seem like I'm moving, but you are. But
you are.
Will you talk to them a little bit?
I mean, as long as there's breath, you're still moving. Yeah. Nothing is final but death. In all that we do, nothing is final. There can be a solution for everything. And I think that is something that if there's a fire and everybody's falling out, no, someone in that building has to be calm.
Yes.
If not, we all,
Yes.
there won't be no one, so we all have to remain, especially when we have the responsibility of nurturing people or a community. We have to remember to have that sense of peace and calm. But also, when people hear of me, Pastor Judy, I want them to know, when you come to me with your business or your problem or whatever, that is where it stays. And people know that. And so without having to ever utter a word of who you work with or haven't worked with, people know that. Without saying it, they know it amongst themselves, and that's just as good to me as them knowing, as the world knowing. But I'd say just make sure you carve out time for yourself. That you're going to make mistakes, and mistakes are great because we can learn from them. The mistakes that aren't great are the ones where we don't learn. So we continue to go through those same tests again and over again because we have not passed them, right? Or we are not open to hearing how to pass them. So just navigating through life, trusting your instincts, just because we've had a history. And that's something important too when we are entrepreneurs. Sometimes we want to pick up the phone and call everybody to get their perspective before we make that decision. We have to learn to rest and being in that realm of a CEO, and that takes time. But God would not have placed you in that role as a CEO. It doesn't mean we can't train or we don't need to be reading, because you do have to read and study and all of that too. But sometimes you just have to make the decision and stand in your decision that you're making, because you're the leader. You don't have time to pick up the phone and call everybody and get everybody's opinion before you make the decision. So I think as you're navigating through that, just kind of learning more about what you're called to do in your vision. And literally, I kid you not, Pastor Judy, and you know this, as crazy as it sounds, I don't really consume myself with what the competitor has going on.
Talk about that like quickly.
I have no desire to know what my competitor is doing, how they're doing it, what they're doing it, because if I'm worried about them, then I'm not doing the vision or what God called me to give. God gives us all unique visions. It doesn't mean like you can't use this strategy or learn the strategy from the person, but you don't create your way of work. You can't chat GPT somebody's stuff, right? Because it's your vision. You don't chat GPT, and it's not going to work. So there might be pieces of it. But if you look at what the God vision that God gave you, and you follow that, and you know that you lack nothing. In our world, especially in Tallahassee, we really do have some incredible leaders.
Yes.
You have your LaShawns in the world who we laugh and be like, well, that's who, helped nurture me, or she was literally the first person I told I was about to quit my job in news. So when you have people of that caliber, you just have to rest and knowing that you're gonna be fine. Yeah. And that you lean into that village.
I want to suggest to everybody to read the Bible. Go to God. And he will lead you to the right people.
He does.
And listen to that. When she said trust your instinct, and when it's feeling like trust it. I'm telling you, trust it. It will save you a lot of pain and error. Steve Harvey said this. He said, you start sharing everything with everybody, trying to get their perspective, want them to say yes, want them to say no, want them to say go. It's not going to work, because when God gives you his vision, it's his vision to you. He didn't call everybody else in there. But what you have to do is make full proof of that vision.
You do.
Write the vision down. A lot of times we don't have a vision written down. We don't know what we want. We don't know what we want the place to look like.
Right.
So write the vision down. Talk about that. We
Even writing it down is awesome because it holds you accountable. It gives you something to see if that did I meet the goal that I was supposed to meet or not. But you cannot get so tied to that you're not open if there is change that is going to happen. Because though you have the vision, and this is something that Pastor Jackson, Clarence Jackson, even taught me on my journey. Like even you can't be so, oh my gosh, this is the vision, that you lose sight of it and not embrace the process.
yes.
So you may have the end all be all, the final product, but no one's going to tell you that, once I left the job, the school, once I left the school district, the school had 7 kids in it, then it went to 126 kids. So then I was changing diapers and I was in the classroom and I was doing this versus, if he, versus just being an owner of a school or an investor. Like he's not going to tell you, but had he told me that I would quit my job and now I'm gonna be a preschool teacher, I would have been like, what? Like, you want me to leave from being like the director of Title I schools, like to like now being like changing diapers? What? But then I needed to go through that because if you're going to cultivate other people,
yes.
And then as a leader, you have to be willing to do everything that you're asking your staff to do and the people that are supporting you. So, yeah.
I'm gonna let her talk to. We're gonna be leaving in just a few. I'm gonna let her talk to us. Right before I do that, I want her. I want to say this, and I keep mentioning Carolyn.
Yes.
Because when we first started our church, she was our youth president.
Okay.
Carolyn and Priscilla, I think, got a ticket because she had about 18 children in a little Volkswagen, a little something. Something she had up in there. But I remember, and I often tell her, and you wanted her, I sent to you and Ms. Brown, because where she going and her vision is so, that girl is a genius and she gets so whatever, but I'm dreaming, make it happen.
Yeah.
She ran a youth department, took children, a whole bunch of children from the project on a plane to Washington. Wow. They had never been on a plane. They'd never been to a convention. They were tearing up the hotel room. Karen was whooping them behind. Listen. She was whooping them behind. But actually, you talked about it earlier, and I want, as we prepare to end, talk again about the dream as a child, or some things that you do there, and now where you are. Before you do that, just list some of the things, because we just went straight on. Yeah. And I want them to know what all you. I mean, y'all, she helped so many people in this city. You can go to her. She will help you dream. She will help you dream. She share herself. She doesn't just hold on to the knowledge that she had. She share, and she share without missing a beat. But yet she's so accomplished. And so share a little bit. You got the next couple of minutes. Just share a little bit.
Well, of course. So by nature, I started my journey with essentially into grants. My mom actually had her own girls group program, female voices program for years, maybe like 17, 18 years, and through the 90s. And so I was fortunate. She would be like, Ashley, can you just look this up on the census, or can you look this up? And I would help her, or count the parent surveys, because back then they didn't have them electronic. So you kind of do your tally marks and stuff like that and do reporting. But here or there were things that happened, but I ended up in education, which was awesome for me. And so I knew when I got into education that I wanted to be a principal. Like, that was it. That was it. Even being a young girl like Zoe's age, I had all the Barbies and dolls lined up, and I was either preaching to these dolls, or I was a teacher. Okay, I was Miss Valerie Davis, or Miss Cheryl Collier Brown, or Miss Rackard. One of those 3 teachers, that's who I was. But I had the class under control, right? But so to end up in education, it didn't surprise me. I'll never forget I always would work with people with writing their grant proposals. And so, because there was a period where I had to learn, and then that became like something that I was great at. But it's not about writing the grants or your bids so you can get, funding, right?
Mhm.
It was more so about helping people carry out their purpose. So when I'm working with a agency or a company or someone that's starting out, it's not necessarily about the business itself. It's what you're called to do, and how do we take that gift and what you're called to do and take it off that sheet of paper and put it into action. And that's ministry in itself. So I really got good at it. So I wrote grants for a lot, 167 million. And that's just to stop counting. But 167 million. And so from there, I said, well, what am I passionate about? Most people didn't know I was a kindergarten and first grade ESC teacher.
Really?
Yeah, I taught at Kennedy Oaks. First African American teacher they hired in 13 years. And it was only 3 of us out there. So, you have to talk about being comfortable and uncomfortable,
Wow.
And then having your FAMU flags and signs up proudly, that you're a rattler. But that was something, a place of isolation too, that I had to learn how to be in situations or in an environment with people that didn't look like me and being comfortable with that. So I took from there, what am I passionate about? Early childhood education. And so then that was my passion project and my philanthropy. So I took all of the money that I made from writing grants and I paid everything in cash to open Oxford. No credit cards, no nothing, just all of the money I had saved over like 5 years to open up this space. So that's Oxford. But then, of course, no one knew I was going to be stuck there for a few years through COVID because they needed extra hands and support. But that was fine because I needed that. And those kids became like a safe space too. And it was a vacation where I could really hone in on, now that I'm out of that season, this is what God needed me to do. Wow. So he gave me a place of shelter. So now through the consulting firm, we work with businesses and agencies to get them developed so that they can secure the funding that they need to meet the impacts and reduce the barriers for their community.
Wow. Yeah, I have to go. Priscilla told me I have to go. Isn't that abrupt? Just get off that.
I already know how that is. He is like that too. 2 minutes.
Oh, but I wasn't paying attention, so I'm so sorry, Priscilla. I wasn't paying. I got so caught up, and I'm writing and taking. I got 3 pages of notes, but I want to thank you so very much. But tell them how they can contact. Y'all listen. This is just a little. She just gave you a snippet. Am I right? She just gave you like.
Being modest.
It's not even an introduction.
Being modest.
Just a tiny bit. She, and I know that you all are excited about it and flourishing, but I just had to get her on. She will be coming back, and I'll probably just say hello and let her go, simply because I want you to get this. And so whenever I can get on her calendar again on a Tuesday, we'll bring her on. But I want to thank you for everything that you have imparted. Will you let them know how they can contact you?
Yeah, so of course I'm on Instagram at @thereal_A Scott, so follow me there. But if you want to reach out to me, it's Ashley, ASHLEY, at Ashley Scott CG, which is the consulting group.com. So that's my email address. But for sure, if you reach out to me on Instagram and on social media, we have a presence over there. I'll definitely reach out to you personally.
Okay, so y'all contact. She will share. She will help you. She will share and help you, give you a consultation, and take you from there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and in closing, make your business. Be prepared. Just be prepared. When the opportunity comes, be prepared. I want to talk to the Black people in 10 seconds, and we're out of here. I want to talk to the Black people. Make sure as you're preparing that you're really preparing.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're serving food, don't make your buffet. If you got a buffet, clean it up. Make it look good. Make it look presentable. it takes work, okay? If you're a dry cleaner, don't melt the buttons,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
I mean, just certain things as black people, and then we get mad because we don't support black people, but let's make it powerful. Let's make it so people want to come back and they tell everybody. How about
Right.
that?
I agree. We owe it to
We owe it
our
to
families,
we owe it
our
to
communities.
us. We're good. We're good people. So bring that business on here. Listen, I got to go, but every Tuesday night you can meet me at Bible study at Life Changers. Next Tuesday, missionary Priscilla John Lewis. Look at that. Y'all just meet us at Bible study. Not only does she do good graphic, she's a good Bible teacher. So y'all come on and let's make this thing happen. Join me every Sunday, and I'm out. Be our guest on Sundays. Since she putting the flights up, I'm going to run it. Be our guest on Sundays. And next Monday night, I believe that's April. Is that next Monday night? Sunday is the first Sunday.
It
So
is,
next
yeah.
Monday night we will be at Rudy Ferguson Church, the Pastor Rudy Ferguson Church, New Birth, for the citywide prayer. And y'all remember this: women rising, we're rising, sharing me with others. I have no problem doing that. I want you to be the best. I really do. I want you to soar. And whatever I know, I'm more than happy to help you to grow. I don't know it. I'm more than happy to direct you to the person who I know can help you go further. That's real talk.
Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.